Are there 3 things you should never do when someone breaks into your home? In this video, we're going to break down 3 topics that someone suggested you should never do when someone breaks into your home. We'll be talking with noted criminal defense attorney and former state prosecutor Tom Grieve. But hey, first let me let you know that we have a gun giveaway going on and it ends really soon. All you got to do is go down in the description, click that link, and we'll let you know which brand new gun you could have a chance to win. Tom, okay, so we've got some suggestions, and again, we get reader, viewer input on things like this. 3 things you should never do if someone breaks into your home. And the 3 that we got on this list were you should never leave your safe room, you should never let the bad guy know where you are, and you should never speak to the police without first consulting with your attorney. I really like the last one, and I'm probably sure that you agree with that one. You know, first talk
for the
to your
most
attorney.
part.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah, there are some areas to help. But in a home defense scenario, we're getting this suggestion that you should never leave your safe room. First of all, I really don't like those absolute terms, never and always and things like that. There's somebody's going to be watching right now and say, well, what if your safe room's on fire? Oh, okay, then we might want to leave.
They're never right and they're always wrong.
Yeah. That's why we have you
That's
around,
That's why I'm here. I'm the color guy.
Yeah, so never leave your safe room. That's an area where I'm going to take a little bit of umbrage with that right from the beginning because every situation is different. It's dynamic. What are you protecting if someone breaks into your home? Is it a burglary while you're asleep? Is it a home invasion while you're awake? Where are your kids? Are you going to protect your pets? I mean, there's all sorts of crazy ideas going on here. So what do you think about that concept of never leaving your safe room?
Well, I think it depends where it falls into your plan. I mean, for myself, as you know, a dad with young children, I can't imagine just locking the door to my bedroom and saying, well, you guys are on your own. That doesn't even compute to me. That being said, if I live alone and if my bedroom's a good place to be, and it's protected and, you know, to the point where if there's a fire, I can reasonably escape from the window and, you know, now you're starting to talk some sense to me. But it really depends, you know, what's the cover, what's the concealment, do I have a good vantage point if I'm right-handed? Am I looking around a left-hand turn?
That's exactly what I'm thinking about as we go through this because and I'm talking about, you know, first of all, I don't have a house with a safe room. I have a house with a safe space where I want to go and defend if somebody breaks in. Coming up to the top of my stairs, my bedroom where I am gives me only a left-handed shot around the corner and down the stairs. So I need to get out of that room, move across that hallway so that I can be leaning out, shooting with my right hand. So I'm going to have to leave my safe room to get across into my position for my self-defense. And I think this is something that, again, like you said, never right, always wrong kind of thing, that it comes down to your personal protection plan. What do you have in your home that you can use to best protect yourself? And in those cases, I really don't want to get into an always and never point of view. So.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, to the way I think about it, there's a hierarchy of values in everything in life, but here's no exception. There's a hierarchy of values of, you know, I want to protect, you know, my children's life, my spouse's life, my life. You know, after that, there's a significant drop off, and maybe people will slide a pet in there at some point. Maybe not. You know, some people may try.
You're going to get calls.
I'm going to get calls
from the dog lovers.
I didn't say don't. I said some people may do this, and some people may not. That's on them, not on me. So, but and maybe for those dog lovers, I was talking about cats. Okay. So, you know. That's
I'll accept it.
All right, I left that. All right, the flag's been picked up, folks. Yeah. The flag's been picked up. But you know, and some people may try to slide property into that. I wouldn't. I'm not going to throw my life away or to risk throwing my life away to protect, you know, a computer or a big screen TV. I mean, I'm not saying it's fair or just or that I'm going to feel great about listening to somebody ransacking my house. I'm sure that we would all have a natural impulse to intervene, but there has to be a construction of that hierarchy of values, and higher up from all of that is protecting my family and lives, not stuff. So to the extent that a personal protection plan fulfills and protects those values and upholds those values, okay. If that means that I stay in one spot, so be it. I'm not convinced that every single contingency leads to me staying in one spot, however.
And you said something that leads us right into the next part of this question is you're sitting there listening to someone ransack your house. The other absolute in this statement, this viewer comment, was never let the bad guy know where you are. And I'm going to say right now, I absolutely disagree with that. I want the bad guy to know that I know he is there. It's always a he. It's very rarely the female burglar or home invader coming in. I want that bad guy to know that I know he is in there. And I want him to know where I am so that he can stay away from me. Because if he chooses to come toward me, well, he's getting the gun bullets first. But if he chooses to stay away from me, yeah, it sucks. He's ransacking my house. He's taking my TV and my real good bottles of whiskey. He'll probably leave the cheap stuff. But that's, to be very serious about this, in a home defense scenario, one, I tell people not to go room clearing from room to room. And two, I tell them not to do it in the dark and not to be sneaking around. We're not, snipers sneaking up on a high value target or something like that. What we're trying to do is get the bad guy to go away and not hurt us. And if at all possible, we don't have to hurt him because that doesn't, that just opens up a bigger can of worms. But, I'm going to shout out. I'm going to say, hey, I know you're here. Get out of the house. I've called the police. Don't come any closer. Whatever it is I can do, he's going to know where I am. And I want him to know that so that he doesn't come near me and I don't have to shoot him.
I think some people, yes, just for starters. I think that some people misconceptualize what winning is. Winning to me is not blowing away the bad guy. It may come to that, but it isn't. Or at least at a minimum, it doesn't start there. It's forced there.
Yeah.
Winning is escaping the situation with the least harm necessary to myself or frankly anyone else. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to advocate pacifism or something like that. But I've seen what using a firearm in self-defense can do to the good guy's life, to their reputation, to their business, to their family, to their future. I think people, for understandable reasons, you read books, you watch movies, TV shows, and you watch the good guy, the righteous, defend themselves and defend their family and their homestead from the bad guy attacker. And if it isn't glamorized, it's certainly upheld as being virtuous. And I'm not trying to say that it isn't virtuous. But what those TV shows typically don't show you are the years of gritty, greasy court battles and fights and the sleepless nights and the stress and the eating disorder that, your kid develops because of everything. And just, they don't show you that side of it. And I'm not trying to say that every single time turns into that, but that is the roll of the dice. So winning for me is least force necessary for the least harm necessary. And if it's pushed to a choice between myself or my kids and the bad guy who decided to be an uninvited guest at 3 a.m. with their knife or gun, that's not a choice I made. That's a choice that they made. But to the second point of announcing yourself, I do think that people, so the reason why I said that is because I think people kind of anchor on this idea that I've got to win the fight. The better way of winning the fight is not to have one.
Yeah, the best fight's the one you're not in.
Right. So to the extent that that's possible by announcing yourself, go for it. I can understand the merit if they have confined themselves to the basement. Maybe they broke in through the basement door or window or whatever, and you're up on the second floor and somehow you're aware of this, the dog's barking or whatever. I'm not saying that it's necessarily always wrong to have your firearm ready, to try to keep a low profile, stay in your safe place up on the second floor while your spouse or significant other or maybe a teenage kid is contacting law enforcement. But we know that most times when bad guys are confronted by an armed and prepared defender, it's something like 90 some odd % of the time they flee. So if you're just going to be playing the odds mathematically, arguably the best thing you could do would be to announce your presence there, because usually they're not there to, it's oftentimes drug addicts or gang members or something like that, and they're trying to get stuff. It's probably not a hit out on Bob the insurance salesman or something like that. And I'm not trying to make fun of Bob the insurance man, just the opposite. I'm trying to uphold the virtue and honor of Bob the salesman here, but they want your stuff. If you announce your presence, there's a good chance, very good chance, that they'll break away and they'll get out of there. Because as soon as they know that they're there, they're going to say, what?
Yeah, I need
Cops.
to get out of here.
911's coming.
Yeah.
I got to go. So hopefully that's the thought process. And I think far more times than not, that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then the final part of this is don't talk to the police without first consulting your attorney, which is always good advice, but again, it's not an absolute statement in my book, as far as I'm concerned. Cops coming to your house to take a statement for a break-in or a burglary, or even, you're there, so it is officially a home invasion, but you haven't fired your gun. It's, you shouted, they ran away, they left. I'm imagining you can make that statement to police and give them a statement without consulting your attorney first. Now, if you fire your gun in self-defense, changes the ballgame, for lots of different reasons, and it breaks off into just a myriad of different things that could possibly happen. You shoot at the bad guy. Did you hit him? Do you not know if you hit him? Which way did he go? You got to give the police some basic information, but where do you stop?
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is a situation where you're only going to know if you went too far by hindsight.
Yeah, once you get too far.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just the unfortunate truth. There's an old U.S. Supreme Court justice, so more than 100 years ago, who once said that any attorney, no matter how green, should be able to give their client one piece of advice: never talk to the police. So if you're the sort of person who isn't going to stop running your mouth, that's the long-standing legal principle, and it exists for a reason. If the bad guys escaped, if you didn't have to employ deadly force, me personally, I would absolutely try to give the best description, to be the best witness possible, to ensure that the bad guys get brought to justice. However, this is buttressed by the fact that if the bad guys get found, there's a good chance they're going to say, yeah, he pointed a gun at me, or he did this, or he did that. Now, the nice thing about this, or maybe I should say the silver lining to this, from a legal scenario, is they broke into your home at 3 a.m. So I don't know how plausible or how credible those kind of statements are going to be, particularly if you're in a castle doctrine state or anything like that, and if there's no duty to retreat and so forth. That's not something that's going to, I think, carry too much water with them. By them, I mean prosecutors, judges, and hopefully should have come to it, juries, as opposed to if we're on a mutual street encounter in a parking lot where they try to make it look like you were robbing them, which I've seen, I'm sure you've seen, we've seen real life, I've seen real life cases like that before. But that's a silver lining to the home invasion scenario is, the bad guy loses that line of lies, basically. I'm not saying they won't try, but it ought to ring immediately hollow. So my suggestion is, look, if there's no one employing deadly force, i.e. you're not shooting at, or anything like that, for me personally, I would give probably a full statement to the police if I felt comfortable to do so. Otherwise, I'd make it a two-parter where I'd give the best description possible and then ask to basically come back to the station for a full statement in a day or two, whenever I'm ready, and probably after speaking to an attorney. And I say that as an attorney. I'm not going to speak to myself. I'm going to speak to someone else. That's another old saying in the legal profession, right? The attorney who represents himself as a fool for a client. Yeah. But certainly if there's any kind of deadly force that's been employed, I'm going to still give the description of the bad guys. They were in a white van, the license plate, blah, 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 if I can do it. And otherwise I'm going to be shutting her down.
Yeah. Well, Thanks again very much. Your insight is always super helpful. I really appreciate the time that you spend with us, helping us out, stuff like this. Folks, thanks for watching all the way to the end. And like I said, click on that link down below in the description, and you will find out which gun you will have a chance to win. I'm Kevin Michalowski, Director of Content for the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. If you like videos like this, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification bell. We'll let you know every time we come out with a new video. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.